All right, welcome back to Small Talk is Exhausting. They call me Mr.RapperGeek, formerly known as Young Prof, governmentally known as Stan. So it's 5:35 in the morning, and I'm tired, but I'm up. So we're gonna have this conversation, and it's just me and you because I'm the only one up. So it is what it is. So I was watching a video with Miles Cunningham and Ed Zone, right? And you know what they were talking about was, Ed Zone mentioned, you have to build up mental toughness, right? And it's just like being in the gym, right? You gotta pick up heavy stuff and put it back down, as Richard Cooper says. Um, but you tearing your muscles, you tearing your muscles apart so they can build themselves back up, right? And he was saying, Ed Zone was saying that, you have to do that same thing with your mind. You got to tear your mind down and build it back up, right? So it had me thinking, like, in what ways, could we or should we be out here, tearing our minds down, so to speak, to build it back up, right? And I'm just kind of, just kind of freestyling this whole thing, as things come to mind. Of course, obviously, I'm going to share them, but it just had me thinking, like, what in what ways can we or should we be tearing down our minds, so to speak, right? Um, I mean, by learning new things. Learning can be exhausting depending on what the subject is. It can be exhausting. Um, but as you continue to immerse yourself in whatever that new subject is, right? Your brain starts to get used to it, right? Your brain starts to create those, what do they call them, neural pathways or whatever. Um, and starts to recognize, that new subject, right? So say for instance, right now I'm recording on Audacity and I'm recording on my regular computer camera, right? And so the reason why I was able to, like, now I only downloaded Audacity like 2 days ago or something, like maybe, yeah, 2 days ago, and I only downloaded it because I just got this microphone, right? And now after 2 days of using Audacity, I mean, I know the basics of what I needed to do. I need to be able to hit record. I need to be able to, um, you know, cut a clip if I need to, shorten the clip if I need to. But I can do that because I'm familiar with using audio programs, right? Back when I was doing music, I was heavy on Adobe Audition or Cool Edit Pro. Or if anybody is familiar with that, anybody's old enough for that. Um, but Adobe Audition was my go-to. As a matter of fact, I still use Adobe Audition, for videos on my other laptop here. But because I'm so familiar with, using Adobe Audition and familiar with audio tracks, period, whether it was from doing music or whether it was from watching engineers, chop down my own music, or even now, when I'm making a video, and I'm chopping down the audio, I use Adobe Audition to chop down the audio or add effects to the audio, right? Um, it's because I've immersed myself in that program. I've immersed myself in looking at audio tracks, wave tracks, right? MP3, you know what I mean? Same thing with video, right? Like, I've immersed myself in, using Premiere Pro, using, looking at video clips, right? Cutting down video clips, telling a story. And I'm still working on that, of course, but I can do it a lot easier and a lot more seamless than I ever have because I immersed myself. But when I first started doing that, I was looking at these programs and I'm looking at these files like, what the hell am I looking at right now? You know what I mean? Like especially Premiere. I'm looking at Premiere like I have no idea what's going on. What am I clicking on? What do I need to do here, right? And and I had some sort of, 'cause I started using the whatever the free version is on Apple, whatever the free video editing thing is on Apple. I can't the iMovie. There it is, right there, iMovie. Um, I had to look at my laptop, but anyway, um, because I was using iMovie, you know that that gave me the familiarity with cutting down video clips, right? Um, so that's one way that I've so to speak, torn my mind down and built it back up because now I can chop down a video and I can tell a whole story. You know what I mean? Like and I got my start from doing a music video. I had no idea how to edit videos, but I'm like at one point, I was like, I'm just gonna learn because this video needs to get done. So I chopped down a whole video and I told a whole story with this video, and I was extremely proud. I was pissed that we never used it, but I was very proud of that. But yeah, so that that is something that that is one way that I've torn my mind down, right? Um, Dealing with other people is one way to tear your mind down, right? I know people now who their mind is getting torn down, you know, almost on a daily basis, and I feel bad for them because um, some people they get taken advantage of, you know what I mean? And I can tell this person's mind is getting, is so to speak getting torn down because they're just trying to do what's right. They're trying to do the right thing. They're trying to do, what people expect of them. But the thing is, people's expectations change with the wind. You know what I mean? So, I'm trying to toughen, not necessarily toughen, but get this person to let that go. But it's a hard road. Um, but that is one way. Like I said, dealing with people. Like when you're in a relationship and you're trying to, what do they call it, enmeshment, when you're trying to mesh your lives and your values and your beliefs and all of that together, you know, that will tear your mind down. That can definitely tear your mind down because you're trying to figure out, well, why doesn't this person get it? You're trying to figure out, why don't I get it? You're trying to figure out, what does it take for us to get back on the same page and get to the good times that we're used to, right? And you know it can it can it can tear your mind up trying to figure that out, right? Now hopefully you're with the right person, um and it's actually worth putting your mind through that. I don't want to call it stress, but that mental training, if you will. Hopefully the person that you with is worth that amount of mental energy, right? Um, but and as I'm talking, right, you know, it matters what you know what you decide to use that mental energy on, right? So say for instance a relationship, right? Well, if you decide to combine lives with somebody, that should make your life easier, not harder. Now, don't get me wrong. It's never going to be easy, right? You're dealing with a whole different other human being, and whether we like it or not, we all have our expectations. A lot of our expectations are very unfair. Um, so it's never going to be easy. But at the same time, it shouldn't make your life harder, right? See, there's a difference between it not being easy and it making your life harder. You know, if it's making your life harder, you shouldn't be wasting energy on that at all. You should leave that scenario, that situation, because it's not doing anything for you, right? Um, but one way that is beneficial as far as breaking down your mind and building it back up, like I said before, is learning new subjects, right? Um, if it's hard to focus on, and I have this problem myself, right? It's hard for me to sit down and focus on one thing. It's hard for me to sit down and focus on a book. Like even right now, right? I'm looking at the camera. I'm looking in the mirror in front of me. I'm looking at the audio track that's going. I'm looking at my over here at my other laptop periodically. I'm looking at all the, what I'm saying? Like I'm looking at the glare off the comic book rappers behind me. Like there's a lot going on in this quiet room at 5:46 in the morning. There's a lot going on, right? But it's not necessarily a lot going on in here, so to speak. There's a lot going on up here, you know. And at the same time, I'm talking to you, right? And for those listening, I just pointed at my head. Uh, but going through going through difficult situations is another way of tearing your mind down and building it back up. Because I remember being in my early 20s, right? And I got my first car note. And I remember I was dating this young lady at the time. And I remember sitting there in my bed and I was on the phone with her because, when you're young, you just sit on the phone and just sit there and don't even talk about anything. I don't know. I don't know what that is. But so I'm laying in my bed, I'm on my phone. I'm on the phone with her, and at the time I had my first truck payment coming up. And I was broke. I was terrible with my money, and I had no idea. I had no idea what to do. I'm like, how the fuck am I gonna pay this first car note, right? And so I'm sitting there stressed out, like trying to figure out, like, how am I going to pay this? Like, and at the same time, I got my girlfriend in my ear telling me all these things that she's going to do that doesn't include hanging out with me, right? Which, at that age, well, even at later ages, you want everything that they do to be with you, right? At least that's how I was, So she's telling me all of this stuff that she's about to do that doesn't include me, and I'm just sitting there like, ugh. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just sitting there like what is life right now? And I just remember being so stressed out, like not knowing what to do, right? And my one sense of peace, or what should have been peace, which was my girlfriend, like, she was not giving me the peace that I was looking for at that moment, And so fast forward to today, right? And when it comes to bills, it's like, you just, I mean, you know what I mean? Bills are bills, you know what I mean? But when it comes to bills, it's like, even though we don't necessarily want to pay them, we just pay them. We just pay them. It's like, all right, whatever. When it comes to life getting in the way, it gets frustrating. I tell you, I use an example. Yesterday was my wedding anniversary, right? My wedding and relationship anniversary all in the same day, right? So I was planning on just going out to eat and all of that, and I got some things planned for the weekend coming up and all of that, and so I'm like, I'm excited. My wife comes to pick me up from work, and I get in the car, and I hit that first stop sign, and I hear grinding. Right. So, and if you see, you can probably hear it in my voice, but if you could see my face right now, like you could just see the irritation in my face, right? And it's frustrating because of everything else that I have planned coming up this weekend, right? And so, I'm trying in my mind, like I'm frustrated, I'm irritated, I'm pissed off. But at the same time, it's like, I've been here before, right? These things happen. Like this is going to happen. Your brakes are going to go out. You know, your brake pads are going to need to be changed. You know, all of that stuff, right? And you know, so now it's like like I said, I've been through this to the point where now I'm able to formulate a plan in my head. Now, is the plan going to work? I don't know. We're going to find out. But one thing I was not able to do, in my, when what year was that? 19? Yeah, when I was 19, one thing I was not able to do was formulate a plan. Okay, so I got this car note payment coming up, right? I can pay a little bit with this check and then pay the rest with the next check or whatever the case may be, right? Or I can talk to them and see what options I have. You know, at the time I didn't have that mentality to think about that, to formulate a plan. Now I'm like, I created a plan, not necessarily on the fly because I had to spend some time being irritated and pissed off, right? Which kind of ruined my wedding anniversary, if I'm being all the way honest. But um, it didn't ruin it. That's too much. But it made my wedding anniversary a lot less fun than what I was planning for it to be, right? And so now even though it's frustrating, it's irritating, right? I've built up that mental toughness to where now I can formulate some sort of strategy to get this thing fixed before the festivities I have planned for the weekend. And I'm being vague. I don't. My wife is asleep, but I'm still being vague for just to be cautious, right? So I have a plan now to get it taken care of before the festivities, right? And I'm also considering options, and that'll be something that I want to talk about in another episode is options, right? But I'm also considering options and backup plans. Like, okay, you know if I can't get it fixed by then I can try something else. I have another idea, um so that is what happens when you are able to build up when you've been through excuse me, when you've been through certain situations like this, right? When you've been through situations like this, you are able to again build up that mental toughness. You are able to say, all right, I've done this before. What do I need to do now? Right? You can more quickly get over that initial, because what you're really doing is, especially in those situations where something happens, right, that you weren't expecting, right, you're basically mourning the consistency of your life in that moment, right? Up until that moment, your life has been consistent, right? Everything tomorrow or this weekend was fairly certain. As long as as long as you're blessed to see those upcoming days, of course. But besides that, like, that everything is going to be fairly consistent. And it's kind of a trap. That's another conversation, right? But you know that things are going to be fairly consistent. You can kind of predict what's going to happen. So now something unpredictable has happened. It has thrown a wrench in your routine, in your certainty, in your consistency. And so now you have to figure out how to get back to your consistency. So what we're actually doing is, when we get frustrated and pissed off when things happen, is we are mourning the consistency that we've gotten so used to, right? I'm gonna say that one more time. When we are frustrated, when life comes at us, we are mourning the consistency that we've gotten used to. And that's what I was doing yesterday, right? But because I've been through that situation before, I've built up that mental toughness. I was able to get past that mourning stage a lot faster than I ever have. Because the old me would have stayed stuck on that for hours. It would have ruined my anniversary. I wouldn't have been able to enjoy my anniversary. As a matter of fact, you know, I would have just went home and just sat pissed off, right, on my anniversary, right? But you know what? But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get it figured out. By the time I got to, you know, where we went to Red Lobster, just for that. The real festivities will take place this weekend, right? Um, but we went to Red Lobster for a quick celebration, right? I almost canceled that. I almost said, no, fuck that, we're going home, right? Um, but I'm glad I didn't. Again, I didn't, because I was able to formulate a plan by the time we actually got to the restaurant, right? And again, like, that ability comes from going through that before, you know, tearing my mind down when life comes at you, but then building it back up to the point where you just figure it out, you know, it happens. So that's pretty much it, man. I'm quite sure I can come up with other ways to, or there was another way that I wanted to speak on, but I'm gonna have to touch on that in another edition of Small Talk is Exhausting. So if hopefully this message resonated with you, hopefully this brought you some kind of value. Let me know, on in the comments, or just send me an email, tiredofsmalltalk@gmail.com, and I'll talk to you next time.